Here we go. Good morning. Welcome in. Thanks for making us your morning drive time show, the Out of Bounds Show. ESPN 105.9 The Zone. Lunch today brought to you by Taste Italian Restaurant in the Renaissance, now open. And we're live in the Bank Plus studio. And this SEC Insider Hit is brought to you by Sound and Communications. SoundComAV.com. If you're looking for a video wall for your school, law firm, business, hospital, that's powered by Sound and Communications. Your next video wall is brought to you by SoundComAV.com. We welcome in our friend Mike Detillier, WWL Radio TV New Orleans, NFL, SEC football, among other sports, because we're going to ask him about another sport here before we get into some football. But Mike D, WWL Radio TV New Orleans, LSU football, Saints football shows there, and you can find this dude everywhere at Mike Detillier on Twitter. Mike D, did y'all talk any Ryan Sandberg and Chicago Cubs and Harry Carey yesterday?
Yes, we did. I think about, I grew up late 60s into the 70s, and, you thought about the top second baseman at that time, and Joe Morgan, because Joe started with Houston, and he got traded to the Reds, and he was part of the Big Red Machine in the 70s. Man, they were really good. And Rod Carew, a lot of people kind of miss him on that because Rod was one of the best hitters I've ever seen with the Minnesota Twins. And he played 10 years at second base before he got moved to first base, and he ended it with the Angels. He was a designated hitter. In late 70s into the 80s, it started the cable explosion in the United States, where cable TV was there, and WTBS in Atlanta, WGN in Chicago. You were able to watch every Braves and Cubs baseball game. And Ryan Sandberg was part of you growing up. I watched him. And, he was just so consistent as a second baseman. You think about all those Gold Gloves that he won, but he sprayed the ball all over the field. He was a terrific hitter. And at that time, and, for a lot of people a certain age, they don't get it, but that was just the game of the week on Saturday afternoons. That's when you watch baseball, a nationally televised game. They didn't have games during the week. But WGN in Chicago and TBS in Atlanta were able to show that on the basic cable. And so there were probably two generations of fans that grew up watching Ryan Sandberg and his consistency, and he was such a great player. And I always kind of tip the cap, people who can do it consistently, year to year. And there wasn't much fall off, even as he got later in his career. And Ryan was one of those guys, just a terrific player, a guy who understood who he was, very confident as a baseball player. But, man, if you grew up in that age, especially into the 80s, into the 90s, man, Ryan Sandberg was a constant because you could watch every game on WGN, on the most basic cable system that you had. And I knew he was fighting. I've been told by some people that sort of know him much better than I do that he was really fighting it, and it was difficult for him those last couple of months fighting cancer. And God bless him. You lose a little part of your youth and your mortality, and that's why people react when someone younger dies that you grew up watching. I think part of you feels, hey, I'm not getting any younger either. But Ryan, man, fantastic guy, great player. And he grew up in that age of cable TV.
Yeah. No, I think Mike D frames it up well. Mike Detillier on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line talking about Ryan Sandberg and the fact once WGN and TBS was delivered to so many homes, as Mike D said, for me, I was a kid, okay, 1983, I'm 10 years old, and I get to watch the Cubs and Sandberg and the Braves and Dale Murphy all the time. And then, as Mike knows, you got to watch the other team too. So it opened up a world that we didn't have when they were playing the Phillies, Mets, Padres, Dodgers, and Astros. So you got to see all those players too, and that was magical for those of us. Now, we have everything on stream, and we can watch every college baseball game we want, which is simply remarkable. What's also wild, Mike D, or fascinating, is that Ryan Sandberg was a star, no doubt, but he was very low key, as you know. I mean, he just head down, did his stuff. The biggest star at that time for the Cubs was their play-by-play guy, Harry Carey. Isn't that crazy that even though Sandberg was good and Sutcliffe and Lee Smith and so on, that Harry Carey was the star of the show, even though they had some damn good players, Mike D?
Yeah, I think, his career was wild too. I mean, it just wasn't with the Cubs. Harry, he sort of bounced around a little bit, but man, he found his niche. And when Mike Ditka was here, man, Mike had some great Harry Carey stories. And Harry, he kind of liked to tip it a little bit, and depending on what game and his mood, you really got the great Harry Carey. But to think about, he satired on Saturday Night Live, which was big back then. I mean, it really was. And, man, Ditka, because I think Mike probably was tipping with him too. He got some stories about Harry Carey, but, man, he was great, and he was the voice that if you couldn't watch the game and just could hear it and you heard that voice, you knew you were listening to the Cubs because of Harry Carey. I mean, it was distinctful. It wasn't what they would teach you.
No.
If you go to journalism school.
Great point.
He was off the cuff. He was going to tell you certain things that, they would probably tell you don't say. But Dizzy Dean was one of the first to do it, former Cardinals pitcher. And Dizzy was a national announcer at that time. And Dizzy would pitch for all kind of stuff. People would send him, he would talk about, certain products, and, that company would send it to him because they heard it on NBC. Dizzy team would talk about. Dizzy was a little bit, he sort of set that up pretty good for himself. Dizzy was the first to do it nationally, but then we saw it with Harry Carey. And, man, he was great, and he turned that into kind of a self-promotion stuff by himself. And he was the first announcer, you could say, that really turned that kind of tide into people kind of, you associate yourself if it was a certain beer or a certain bread or, it didn't really matter. And Harry did it better than anybody. Really, really did. And he was part of Chicago. And, for people who didn't get that opportunity to go to Wrigley Field, he gave you to feel like you were there through the broadcast. Very few people can do that. Very few. Even today, I mean, come on, that's just a handful of people. They're coming out with a book on John Madden and Pat Summerall. How they worked as a team together. I think that'll be out next. Well, we're not in August yet, so this will be in September. That'll come out, and you think about when you just heard Summerall and Madden, you knew that was a big game, and with Harry Carey, you knew it was Cubs baseball.
Yes, and WGN. That platform helped to make him a star. And then his personality and persona, which Mike just did a great job describing, made Harry Carey a star, which then delivered us Ryan. I mean, think about how many big moments Harry Carey delivered to us that Ryan Sandberg did. I mean, that's the connectivity tissue that, I mean, Mike and I are in the business, but that's why we were there, right? Pat Summerall and John Madden framing up a big play. And same with Harry Carey.
Big games, big plays.
Yeah.
And to think, the Cubs, mid-'80s, they were one game away from going to the World Series.
84.
And it was the Padres, San Diego Padres. And, man, they had a collection of people from all other teams. Reggie Jackson was with them. Steve Garvey had left the Dodgers to go to San Diego. Rod Carew was there, talked about, and he had left. And, they had a collection of star guys, and the Cubs had them. And they go to San Diego, and the Padres sweep them 3 straight games. Bang, bang, bang. And it was all over because no one really picked the Cubs to go, to be an advancement team that year. Man, and they were super. And really it was Ryan Sandberg that year. It really was. He really sort of carried them, and he was the kind of the engine that fueled that. But, man, they were so close to getting to the World Series, and then to have the Padres win those 3 games straight.
That broke my heart. 1984. I was crushed. I mean, I didn't know what to do. I was locked into Sandberg and Lee Smith and Sutcliffe and that group.
And you know who was the general manager of that team?
Who?
Jim Finks.
Oh, you said that a week or two ago. That's right.
Jim was the GM that year.
Wow.
And he, because he had just left the Bears. Him and Papa Bear got along for the most part. And then Papa Bear hires Mike Ditka without consulting Jim. And Jim had that in his contract. That was it. He stayed for a little while, but he had had enough of it. And, Ditka wasn't his guy, obvious. And so they clashed. So he leaves the Bears, and they were really building something back then. You could tell. But Jim had pieced together that team that ended up winning it all, just a couple of years later. But he didn't care for Ditka, didn't like his personality, didn't think it would sustain. And him and the old Papa Bear clashed, and so he left, and the Cubs hired him as their GM because of his management skills. And Jim knew a little bit about baseball, and he really got it clicking, and it was like lightning in a bottle.
Wow. All right, so roughly when did Jim Finks become the general manager of the New Orleans Saints, Mike D?
86.
Okay.
He had been recommended because of the fact John Meekum had sold the team in 85 to Tom Benson. And Tom kept everybody basically in their position, what they had. In Bum Phillips was the head coach. Bum had said numerous times, I told Tom, you don't have to keep me. You don't have to pay me. I'll walk away. This is your team now. When I signed on with Meekum. I didn't sign on with you. And Tom Benson said, no, I'm going to keep you. And so Bum lasted about half a year, and then he quit. And Wade took over. His son Wade Phillips took over. But I think Bum's heart wasn't in it anymore. And I think he looked for a way out. And how many people would tell the owner, you don't have to pay me? Very few people would beat that. But that was just the way Bum was, And so afterwards, Tom decided that he was going to make changes in the organization, and he got a lot of recommendations. But a lot of people said, hey, go hire Jim Finks. Jim Finks is the guy. And Jim took over early in 1986, and it changed the fortunes of Saints football from then on. because of the fact the Finks and Jim Mora connection really, really worked. And there was some talent on this team before. It just hadn't clicked. And so, man, they rode with it. That was some good teams. And Mora almost killed them year one because of the practice sessions. Bobby, man, he tells that story about we were dead legged the first 5 or 6 games of the year because of what Mora had put him through in the summer. And we've had Coach Mora on, and he's like, Bobby, I apologize. I should have never ran y'all through that. And it really, they were right around the 500 mark, but they were a losing team the first year. But the second year, man, it caught a fire. And that's when the double-digit winning team and first time they ever made the playoffs.
Isn't that incredible? Jim Finks tied to the Chicago Cubs and Ryan Sandberg and Harry Carey, and then takes the Saints job, and finally the Saints drives the Saints to the playoffs because God, they were god awful from 67 to 87 or whatever it was.
And how close Jim was to being the commissioner.
Oh, tell me about that.
Yeah, he was just a couple votes away, but there was a younger group of owners that had decided Jim's not for this job. We want somebody younger. We want somebody that is not going to be hardline with the player association. We want somebody that can get along because they had been through a strike. And Jim was not the easiest negotiator around, especially with players. And my radio partner can attest to that because he didn't play a season because he refused to pay him. But so he just came a couple votes shy of being the commissioner, and he missed out on it. I can't say he was bitter about it. He just said, hey, listen, that was part of the business. People like Jerry Jones, Eddie DeBartolo at that time, who had just sort of gotten into the business, they didn't want Finks at all. And they could see free agency was going to hit. And they didn't think Jim was the right guy to do that. And they wanted a negotiator that could get them more money from the TV networks. Because Jim made the comment that he felt that may have been as big of a difference. They felt, that Tagliabue being an attorney was better as a negotiator on that part, and it turned out to be right. And then Jim got sick 2 years later, passed away very quickly. But Jim was a 2-pack-a-day guy. That was regular. He was one of the few guys, my grandfather did it too. He would light one cigarette with the other cigarette he just finished. I had a grandfather exactly like that. Exactly like it.
Oh, man. Mike Detillier sharing some great stories on the Out of Bounds show and the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. All right, so, man, was that kind of like the Wild Wild West, the late 80s, covering so the Saints weren't any good. So you start in sports, and the Saints aren't any good, but you're covering them. And I guess LSU was notorious for being up and down in the 80s and 90s. They'd have a great year, and then they fall apart. So
Orange Sparger was the guy, okay? Because Jerry Stovall was, as you put it, figured they'd lose a head coach to a plane crash, Bo Ryan, who came in from North Carolina State. And Bo had a lot of credentials. He was an Ohio State guy, and everybody thought Bo was going to be the man, and then he dies in a plane crash. And then they elevate Jerry Stovall, and you're right. It was up and down, up and down, up and down. And they hired the old pop, Bill Arnsparger. And Bill was not the greatest salesman recruiter, but boy, could he coach.
Okay.
And Pete Jenkins tell me that all the time. Man, I thought I knew a lot about coaching. and handling people. But Arnsparger was the master of it. And he said, we had some really good years under Bill Arnsparger, and then when Bill left, it came down to two guys. It came down to either hire Steve Spurrier, who wanted the job, or Mike Archer.
Wow.
And they got Mike Archer. And Steve never forgot that. Never forgot it. I mean, he always, even in interviews today, I've heard about how much he wanted to be the head coach at LSU at that time.
He said it on this show, Mike D.
Yeah. And, man, you think about with the athletes they had here. Now, Florida's got them too now. They got tremendous athletes to run that, running fun gun offense. And but he never forgot it. He laid it to LSU. Now, they did beat him when Florida was number one, but, man, Steve, he rolled over him a lot of times and always kind of stuck it to him because, he felt as though they had made they made a mistake with elevating Mike Archer instead of going with the outsider and Steve Spurrier. But, yeah, and then then it was really the wild roller coaster. Curly Hallman comes in, Jerry DiNardo, and then they made the big hire. They were on the verge of hiring Mark Richt, who was at Georgia at that time. And at the final moments,
Saban?
Here comes Nick Saban.
Unbelievable, Mike. We've only got a minute and a half. We're going to have to pick up on that. I did not. So it came down to Richt and Saban. And I guess Jodine Sr., who had made some bad hires, finally made a great hire because that was before Bertman taking over as AD. Is that right, Mike D?
Yeah, it was Jodine. It was Joe. And he got a call from Nick's attorney, Jimmy Sexton, saying, hey, listen, Nick is interested, but he can't go down there. So they sent his wife, and Miss Terry, she kind of toured Baton Rouge and everything. And they had a contest if you could pick the winner pick the new head coach at LSU. I don't know what you would get out of it, but it was at TJ Ribs restaurant. And so Miss Terry dumps Nick's name in there. I think she ended up winning. It really didn't matter. But she was the only winner because nobody had Nick in the deal. He came in like down the track. He was the guy down the stretch. It literally was going to be Rick.
Wow.
Everything at that time was him, that he was going to get the job. And Mark was a successful coach.
Sure,
no question about it. But man, Nick changed the fortunes
everything
of LSU football. Sure did.
God, that's a great story. Mike D., have a great week. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, sir.
At Mike Detillier on Twitter, is there a better storyteller in sports? I'm not sure that there is. I don't know how much Bobby Hebert lets him talk on their show, but is there a better storyteller in sports? Mike Detillier, WWL Radio TV New Orleans.
Say, kids, what time is it?
It's 9 a.m., and this ain't okay show. It's the Out of Bounds Show with Bo Bounds.
On aboard!
As Mississippi's #1 morning show rolls on the Zone 105.9 and online at thezone1059.com.
Good morning. The Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. Whoa.
I stick him the middle finger. There's no way I'm doing that.
I'm your host, Bo Bounds. We're live in the Bank Plus studio.
These guys are a bunch of dumbasses.
Well, show is brought to you by Pearl River Resort. Visit pearlriverresort.com to make a reservation. 24, 48 hours of fun, hotel, Golden Moon Casino. Obviously, they have Crystal Sky Casino in Louisville, Mississippi, and Bocoma in Laurel. All three have sports books, pearlriverresort.com, as you get ready for college and NFL football season. I'll say it again, late morning in the sports book inside the Golden Moon. 11 a.m., you walk in, you feel the vibe. They've got leather chairs, tables, full bar, full food menu. You're ordering sliders and quesadillas and a nice cold Michelob Ultra. You're getting the games underway. You're watching for a little while in there. You're going over, hitting a table game, going back in mid-afternoon. It's just a ton of fun. And you know that you've got reservations at Philip M's that night, Vegas-style steakhouse. That's pearlriverresort.com. Bo Bounds, Jackson Meadows with you. Mike Detillier was unbelievable. If you missed any of that interview, the interview will be on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Search Out of Bounds with Bo Bounds. We would appreciate if you would go there, listen to our interviews and crazy segments and fun. Again, Spotify and Apple Podcasts, search Out of Bounds with Bo Bounds. And Jackson Meadows would love for you to hit that subscribe button because he's got thousands of hours invested in it, and so do all the other producers. But, yeah, fun stuff. Tomorrow, I'll get to that in a second. I want to go through week one again, Jackson.
All right.
So, marquee games.
Hit me.
All right. So we have Texas and Ohio State, and that's the power conferences now. SEC against the Big Ten. Still kind of weird that Texas is in the SEC. But the Texas Longhorns at Ohio State, and that could be one hell of a game. Ohio State defending national champs. Arch Manning will be the starter for the Texas Longhorns. Sark and the Longhorns have made the college football playoff the last 2 years. They haven't won it. Still awesome to make it. Ohio State got in last year, even after losing to Michigan the last game. A below average Michigan team. The last game of the season, somehow that was awful. They weren't ranked in the top 100 offensive scoring efficiency. And Ohio State lost to them, and then Jackson and I talked about it. Ohio State Buckeyes fans wanted to fire Ryan Day.
Yeah.
That was Sports Talk. I remember listening to the clip.
Real.
Sports Talk Radio, which is big, in Columbus, Ohio. They were ready to fire him. And then he wins the national championship, and we know what Judkins did against Notre Dame. And they already had talent. The stars aligned. You see this all the time. Teams need a wake-up call. They got their wake-up call getting embarrassed by a Michigan Wolverine team that wasn't any good. And then they went and won the national championship against Notre Dame. And I think Marcus Freeman could be – I think he's a star in the – he's got the mojo. It's rare that the promote from within works. You know, your Notre Dame act like it, but he's got the Ohio State pedigree, had been a coordinator, and he's a hell of a communicator and connector and knows how to recruit, manage, great approach, level-headed, low-key, super cerebral. Freeman may be our next guy. We'll see. I guess the last young guy, of course, he was promoted from within too, and this is crazy. But Clemson promoted, when they fired Tommy Bowden, the interim coach was Dabo Swinney. He was a wide receivers coach. He was not a coordinator.
Wow.
He had not been a coordinator. In fact, Dabo had been fired at his alma mater, the University of Alabama, a few years prior. Because, again, he was a walk-on at the University of Alabama who eventually became a starter, who was on the 1992 team where they won the national championship against the Miami Hurricanes under Gene Stallings. But they didn't throw the football. So Dabo blocked. And that's fine. I'm sure he played special teams. I'm sure he was a locker room guy and so on. Then he got into coaching. Well, he got out of coaching and got into real estate, commercial real estate in Birmingham for a year or two before getting picked back up by Clemson and Tommy Bowden.
Wow.
Who was Tommy Bowden's offensive coordinator before going to West Virginia? Rich Rod. When Tommy Bowden was at Tulane and they went 11-12-0 with Sean King in the late 90s, because I remember me and my buddies went down there for something. Tommy Bowden, head coach, Rich Rod, offensive coordinator, Tulane Green Wave, they go undefeated. Parlay that into the job at Clemson. Then Bowden gets run. Dabo Swinney's the wide receivers coach, but Dabo is a great communicator and salesman. Talks his way into the job.
Wow.
And the rest is history. And it took him a minute, and somehow he just survived. He lost to Spurrier 5 times in a row, which, by the way, Clemson dominates that series. So when I tell you that is grounds for getting run.
Oh, yeah.
Spurrier, I think, won 5 in a row in the South Carolina Clemson rivalry while Dabo is trying to get the thing up and running. And then there's some patience. Now, he's winning.
Yeah.
He's not going 2-10 or 3-9.
Yeah.
He's winning, not quite enough. They turn it. He gets Venables. The rest is history. Bob Stoops hires his brother, not Mark, the other one.
Yeah.
Back. Venables figures it out. Hey, man, I like Bob Stoops, but the brother's always going to get the benefit of the doubt. Blood. Didn't really want to take the job. He talks about it in the airport, talks to Dabo. Dabo and Clemson had been embarrassed by West Virginia in a bowl game, like 70-10. Kevin Steele, I think, was the DC because he made a quick stop with Saban, I think a little bit later. Dabo hires Brent Venables, rest is history. So week 1 matchups, speaking of, Texas at Ohio State. LSU at Clemson. Brian Kelly versus Dabo Swinney. So you get Sark against Ryan Day. You get Brian Kelly going against Dabo. And you get Kalen DeBoer against Mike Norvell in Florida State. DeBoer at Alabama, as I think all or most of you know. You got Hugh Freeze going to Baylor.
Yeah.
Playing Sawyer Robertson, who signed with Mississippi State, and Mike Leach, who's turned into a damn good quarterback. Sawyer Robertson is the quarterback for Baylor. Jackson Arnold is the quarterback for Auburn. Jackson Arnold was at Oklahoma. Blake Shapen started over Sawyer Robertson for a minute or two and then transferred to Mississippi State.
Yeah.
Crazy. Week 1 is going to be incredible, but I tell you week 5, insanity with one of the biggest games in Oxford. We're going to go over the 10 best college football games of the season coming up next. the 2025 football season, baby. I'm ready. You're ready. Jackson Meadows is ready to win his fantasy football title. I don't know if I'm playing fantasy football this year.
Depends on if we can log in.
I really want to bail out. I don't think they're having the draft anymore. And the only reason why I like to play is to hang out and smoke cigars and have a drink. And so last year, either I couldn't communicate well or Jackson didn't focus on it.
Both.
Because we never put my team in.
I still have the app.
Boy, that does a lot.
We never logged in. We never figured out how to log in.
It can't be that damn hard.
I don't know, man.
We are the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone, 2025 football season in front of us. Let's go. We're going to have a ton of fun, and I can't wait. So I want to go over some of the games. Ole Miss is actually listed in this group of top 10 games, as they should be.
The Egg Bowl?
No, it's not the Egg Bowl. That may not be competitive. I don't know how it's been competitive. I mean, it's been somewhat competitive the last 2 years. I mean, I thought Kiffin he's been dying since 2020 to win by 40.
Yeah.
I mean, he tried to blow out Leach a couple of times, couldn't do it. You would have thought they would have beat Arnett by 30 plus. And you'd have thought last year, well, no, eventually he played Greg Knox. He didn't even.
Greg.
Arnett was already gone. Last year, you would have thought they won by 40, and it was more competitive than I thought. But, I mean, they were probably sleepwalking through it. But, no, it's not the battle for the golden egg. So let's go through a couple of these games. 10 best games of 2025, according to ESPN. We just talked about two of them, Jackson and I did. Texas at Ohio State and LSU at Clemson. I can't wait. And a couple of things. Game day and the big noon kickoff or whatever the hell it's called. Will you look up, what is the Fox show called? Dave Portnoy is now going. So to counter Pat McAfee, Fox has hired Portnoy. And I don't listen or watch any of the Barstool shows, but I give Portnoy credit.
Yeah.
They have built a couple of their shows, especially the Big Cat thing.
Yeah.
They have built large audiences. Here's what they decided to do, which I think was a good move. Game day is the cash cow for ESPN and Disney. Saturday morning, you're happy, you're excited, you're going to a game or you're watching football all day and cooking and all that. So they rebooted the show, as we've talked about. It had gotten stale and boring, even though they were still rolling. But with Corso getting older, they kind of went through a little bit of a deal, and Herb Street's good, and Desmond's not good, and whoever's hosting's fine between Fowler and Reese. But they added Pat McAfee, as you know, who's a character, and he does a good job. I don't watch his show daily, but he does a good job on game day on Saturday morning,
So good.
getting everybody going.
Yeah.
Then they added Saban.
Yeah. Huge.
One thing that I found myself doing last year, it's usually background music for me, whether I'm at the house or I'm in Starkville getting ready to, well, maybe go to the game or do something, maybe go to Two Brothers instead. But the point is, those two, along with Herb Street and everything else going on, they really took the show up a notch. And one thing I found last year, Saban drops all these nuggets on you throughout the show, 2 and 3 minute little hits, because he's just so, tuned in, locked in, knowledgeable about the game and the process and how you manage teams and players and so on. Well, I think the Fox show, look, y'all have heard me say this. I hate that Reggie Bush left the show.
Yeah.
Cannot believe they couldn't get that done. They added Mark Ingram. Doesn't do a lot for me.
Nah.
I think Matt Leinart's good. Urban's actually good.
Yeah, that's fun.
But they've added two guys who are tied into the Big Ten, because Fox does their show and then they lead you into what they call the big noon kickoff or for us, the 11 a.m. Central Time,
Right.
which has worked for them. And so they added Dave Portnoy. For those of you who don't know, most of you do, Portnoy and Barstool and Big Cat. I don't know what else is going to happen.
That's all. There's a slew of them.
Okay. They're going to be the focal.
Right.
You got to have like McAfee and Saban are the focal point along with Herb Street. Yeah, I mean, they throw it to people, behind the set or out in the crowd that are being analysts and stuff like that. That's fine. Right? I think it's a good move. Uh-huh. Now, how silly will they get? How crazy will they get? I don't know. I mean, McAfee's getting look, people want to have fun.
Yeah.
On Saturday, you're on a college campus. People have gotten up at a god-awful time in the morning, 5 a.m. to get out there, 6 a.m. I don't know. But I like the Fox with Reggie Bush. I thought they were really rolling. Can't believe they couldn't figure that out contractually, because Ingram's a nice piece, but it's not close.
No.
Reggie is so good on TV.
He was.
And Reggie and Matt Leinart, I just really thought they had something going. Brady Quinn, nah. And I don't know if they have another player or not. I think Urban's, there.
So
but Fox isn't going to back down. And they have a long way to go. Game Day's been there since, 96 or something. I get it. But Portnoy and Big Cat will bring in some. Now, here's the deal. That group does more of consuming stuff through clips on social media. So I was listening to the Sports Illustrated Media podcast where they nerd out on this stuff. And Brian Curtis was like, look, it's going to be good. I mean, it's going to be better. It will elevate the show. But where I think they're also going to win is they're going to cut it all up and push it all out on platforms.
Well, I mean, now,
which is how the Stoolies and all this stuff. And again, I don't follow a Barstool show on any kind of daily, weekly, or monthly basis. But I recognize that Dave
killed it.
He built a large audience,
No doubt.
And I think that they'll do fun, crazy stuff, just like McAfee.
Well, McAfee is Barstool.
He was there for like 5 minutes. And then he realized, hey, I can be on my own platform.
Yeah.
But you're right.
But, I mean, he was.
Dave recognized, and they got together early. And hell, McAfee was on XM.
That's right.
Okay? And so, you look at that. Now, sorry, I had to go through that. Let's go through some more games. We mentioned the first two, week one. Texas at Ohio State, LSU at Clemson. Delicious. September 13th. Georgia at Tennessee. Huge. Kirby Smart. Heupel. Big. Neyland, you won't be able to hear anything. You'll be able to hear that crowd from Nashville. Georgia at Tennessee. Alabama at Georgia, September 27th. Kalen DeBoer going on the road to go against former defensive coordinator at Alabama, Kirby Smart. Here's another one of the top 10 college football games according to ESPN. LSU at Ole Miss. How about that game last year? Ole Miss led the whole way. And then it was tied. And then LSU ties it in regulation and wins with a walk-off in overtime. I heard Pete Golding talking about it on an interview over the weekend. Holy Mary Olzab. It was so. Pete Golding is so good. I'm jealous. Y'all have such a good defensive coordinator. It's filthy. The guy is everything you want in a defensive coordinator this day and age. SEC Insider Hit next. We'll continue on college football. Hey, good morning. Thanks for making us. And that would be the Out of Bounds Show, your sports and entertainment show of choice. Sports and entertainment show of choice in Mississippi and outside of the state. Thanks for streaming the show on the Out of Bounds radio app. Please download that today. Thanks for going to Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Search Out of Bounds with Bo Bounds. Go back and listen to that Derek Nix interview going into the Mississippi Sports Hall of Fame this weekend. Great running back at Southern Miss. Great assistant coach at Ole Miss, now at Auburn, offensive coordinator. And another interview on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Dexter McCluster, great player for Ole Miss. All SEC, may have made an All-American team. That wouldn't surprise me with everything that he accomplished as an Ole Miss Rebel. And Houston Dale Nutt took the Wildcat from Arkansas and made Dexter McCluster and Brandon Bolden and so on the Wild Rebel. They go down to Gainesville, Florida. Dexter McCluster's home state. He's from the Tampa area. And Hugh Freeze and Eddie O, when they were at Ole Miss, went down and sat in Dexter McCluster's living room and convinced him to decommit from South Florida and go to Ole Miss. And Houston Dale Nutt took advantage of that because he is a phenomenal player. And Dexter McCluster and Ole Miss go down to Gainesville when Tebow and the Gators were number one. They win. Tebow has the post-game press conference where he's shedding a tear or two, and he vows to the Florida Gator fan base that we will not lose again. And they won the national championship. But Dexter McCluster is on our podcast, Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Search Out of Bounds with Bo Bounds. Your SEC Insider Hit this morning is brought to you by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Mississippi. It's good to be blue, the official healthcare provider of the Out of Bounds Show, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Mississippi. And the SEC Insider Hit is brought to you by The Armory on Lake Harbor in Ridgeland in front of Kroger. For your firearms, optics, suppressors, this is a high-end gun shop. The Armory in front of Kroger, Lake Harbor in Ridgeland. The Armory in front of Kroger, Lake Harbor in Ridgeland. Firearms, optics, suppressors. The Armory, Lake Harbor, right down from McBee's. And Bulldog Burger and right around the corner from Ding Hao. Some fabulous places to eat. We mentioned Taste Italian Restaurant is now open in the Renaissance. Lunch and dinner, 7 days a week. Try the fried ravioli, among other amazing dishes. Their sandwiches are fabulous. And we're talking top 10 games in college football. And we went, let me kind of go through where we were, and then we'll finish this out. You may have some others. If you have one that I don't reference, please let us know on the Golden Moon Casino text line, 601-885-3776. So let's run through this. We mentioned as far as top 10 games, college football, according to ESPN. Texas at Ohio State. That's delicious. Week 1. LSU at Clemson. Unbelievable. Week 1. September 13th. Georgia at Tennessee. September 27th. Alabama at Georgia. September 27th, which may be the best slate of games of the year. It's definitely top 3. September 27th, week 5, LSU at Ole Miss. That game last year was insane. Ole Miss leading the whole game. LSU ties it up at the end, goes in overtime, walks off Ole Miss. Ole Miss had a chance to run away from LSU, just shot themselves in the foot. down in Tiger Stadium, if you let them hang around, more times than not, they'll get you. Now, if you take them out, remember that year Dak and Mississippi State just took them out? So even when they made a hell of a comeback in the fourth quarter, they were up by too much. You got to put them out because we all know, man, if you fumble or you get stopped on a fourth down and they get going, 105,000 people.
Oh.
Y'all know it. I've been there. You've been there. Insanity happens. And the magic of Death Valley will take over the game. And LSU and Brian Kelly won that game. Year before, it was a hell of a game in Oxford. You remember Jaden Daniels hit the guy in the end zone. He didn't catch it. Ole Miss wins. So they've had some games. That's September 27th. LSU at Ole Miss. That could be game day. How about this? This is crazy. Okay, so you got Alabama at Georgia on September 27th. Alabama at Georgia. You have LSU at Ole Miss September 27th. Oregon, Penn State. That's a big game. Yeah. I know I like to take shots at Penn State. They haven't won a big game since Reagan was in office.
Yeah, they haven't.
But Oregon, Penn State, what Dan Lanning's done, James Franklin, they believe they've got their best quarterback in years. So Oregon, Penn State, big game. They call the undercard games LSU, Ole Miss, Indiana, Iowa. That's a stretch, but I get what they've done. TCU, Arizona State, Southern Cal, Illinois, and some others. I mean, oh, by the way, that's
Bielema.
That's the week of the Ryder Cup, too. I want you to think about that.
God.
The lineup I just gave you. Okay? Bama at Georgia. Oregon at Penn State. LSU at Ole Miss. Plus all the other games. Hell, Mississippi State has a winnable game. Hosting Tennessee. If your mind is right, and if you're actually trying to win in this sport, that should be a game that you should be able to play in. But the Ryder Cup will be on that. I mean, it'll be on Friday too, but it'll be on that Saturday. And then, of course, Sunday. That's an epic weekend of football and NFL and golf. All right, let's keep moving. Another one of the top 10 games, according to ESPN. Texas at Florida. Arch Manning against DJ Lagway. Don't forget, last year, Florida had to play a walk-on from Yale. Both their quarterbacks had been, Graham Mertz and DJ Lagway had been knocked out. They played a kid who looked like he should be playing lacrosse at Winston-Salem. Or maybe on the debate team at MIT. And so now this year, if healthy, you get Arch Manning against DJ Lagway. One or both may be the best in college football. DJ Lagway, if he stays healthy, maybe. Hey,
when's that
maybe game? It's October 4th.
Oh man, so they got that.
Same week as the Sanderson Farms Championship, which is going to be awesome here too. We're going to do some fun stuff.
Man,
Texas at Florida.
That's the perfect time.
All right. How about October 18th? Ole Miss makes the top 10 college football games again. Ole Miss at Georgia.
Oh.
Weather will be turning. And you're a little further north up in Athens. I mean, not a lot, but y'all know the drill. Remember, Ole Miss beat Georgia. Ole Miss beat Georgia last year.
Yeah.
Really, Pete Golding and the Ole Miss defense dominated Carson Beck and Georgia.
Dominant.
And then Ole Miss kicked a bunch of field goals and ended up winning big. Ole Miss beat Georgia last year in Oxford. On October 18th, they go to Athens. Gunnar Stockton against Austin Simmons. But Pete Golding, Mike Bobo, and Kiffin against Kirby. Something. That's October 18th. All right, October 25th. Another one of the bigger games of the year, according to ESPN, and it is. Bama at South Carolina.
It is.
Ty Simpson, if he's still starting, and I think he will be, against Lenora Sellers in South Carolina. I think Lenoris is a little overhyped, but I think he's good. Now, watch him be baby Cam and make me eat my words and just have this insane year for South Carolina. Now, can he stay healthy? He's a guy that's going to take a lot of shots. So we'll see. But he's fun to win healthy, fun to watch. So that's October 25th. The weather will be great. I mean, that's steak and Elijah Craig bourbon. That's red beans and rice. That's all the fun things that's, deer sausage on the grill, everything that we all love. November 8th, y'all know where I'm going. LSU at Bama. Brian Kelly, Kalen DeBoer, matchup number 2 in Tuscaloosa. Both teams could still be in position to go to the college football playoff. November 8th. Could be a little cold. Could be a nice chilly, not like, but chilly day. Tuscaloosa will be buzzing. And then November 15th, Texas at Georgia. Remember, Georgia had to go to Bama, Ole Miss, and Texas last year. All three go. Best home, Georgia gets to host Bama, Ole Miss, and Texas. Phew. Bama, Texas, Ole Miss all go to Athens. They went on the road last year and still were able to make the college football playoff.
Wow.
With what Bartu said outside of Kirby's year one, the worst team Georgia fielded. Remember, Kirby and Georgia did not finish in the top 25 in defensive scoring efficiency last year. They have finished 1, 2, 3, several times in the top 5. And as he tells us, you have to, one of your units has to be in the top 5 for you to win the national championship. Sometimes we've had teams, both units have been in the top 5, or one in the top 5, one in the top 10. Offensive, defensive scoring efficiency, Georgia was not in the top 25 last year.
Of either.
Heater?
Of either.
Oh, yeah.
They weren't in
I thought you said you're on a heater. I said, I thought you were always on a heater.
Yeah, obviously.
Okay.
What's understood doesn't have to be explained.
That's a great way to put it. What is understood doesn't have to be explained. Jackson Meadows is on a heater.
There's no telling what I'm going to come up with for the first week.
You should probably be a motivational speaker for high school football teams.
Yeah.
Should we throw that out there?
If
you want Jackson Meadows to give your high school football team a motivational speech, text us 601-885-3776.
Or just, for the folks who are placing action on the games. Do it for them. Those are the people I'm here for. People trying to get rich.
Brought to you by an ice-cold Michelob Ultra and the wings inside the Golden Moon in the Timeout Lounge, which is their sports book. There. All right, last one. Texas at Georgia. November 15th. Those are, and that doesn't count all the other amazing games that we're going to get. So the scheduling has never been better. Now, I don't believe, as you know, in scheduling someone difficult in week 1. And neither does Ole Miss. Smart. But LSU is determined to lose or be in a tough game.
If they lose another one.
This will be, so they haven't, this is funny as hell. And I had not thought about that. So in 2019, when they won the national championship, I was at that game, LSU and Clemson, right before COVID. I didn't know what COVID was. It was January. I'm partying with Jeff Jones in New Orleans, and Jeff Jones with Wickers, Marinade, and Dry Rub was kind enough to call me and went, hey, man, I got 2 tickets in a suite in the Caesar Superdome for the game. I'm in.
See ya.
We had a great time. LSU won. Well, that's the last time. 2019, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, and Dave Aranda and Joe Brady. 2019 is the last time they won a week one game.
That is
The next year, Mike Leach took his team down there and rolled them in Baton Rouge, and they haven't won an opener since. What?
That didn't make any sense.
I mean, Bo Pelini, the defensive coordinator for Eddie O, made KJ Costello look like Patrick Mahomes. Unreal. And then I don't know who they've lost to since, but they've gone back-to-back years losing to what? Florida State? I think it is. Something like that.
I don't know how in the world they can lose that many.
And then now they're starting off at LSU at Clemson, which, again, for Jackson and I and for you, I'm all about it. I'm all about it.
Yeah, it works. Works for us.
You know why? Week one games. Auburn at Baylor on a Thursday night. I'm ready. Let's have football all Labor Day weekend. We are. We've got marquee games. Texas at Ohio State, LSU at Clemson, possibly Bama at Florida State, although wouldn't be surprised if Bama puts it on them.
Yeah.
But we'll have, some other fun games.
I'm going to give you three out of those games. I got three right here that I have spreads for.
Okay, tell me.
Georgia at Tennessee.
Okay.
Georgia, 7.5. September 13th.
Okay.
How do you feel about it?
I'll take the point.
Take the point, same.
Okay.
All right, bounce September 27th, 2 weeks later, Alabama.
Okay.
Georgia, 4.5. That's a dirty line.
Ooh.
I wouldn't touch that thing.
I don't like that.
Well, I mean, if anything, I'm taking Bama plus 4.5.
I'll take the 4.5.
Yeah, I'm not doing Georgia.
Because I could see Georgia winning by a field goal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gunnar Stockton against Ty Simpson. I give Ty Simpson credit in a day and age where guys are leaving every
Left and right.
every 8 seconds if they're not starting. Ty Simpson now he's a coach's son. Jason Simpson went to Mississippi State, head coach at UT Martin forever. Ty Simpson at Alabama. He stayed the course. Gunnar Stockton, I actually think, is going to be a pretty damn good football player. Carson Beck did not play well last year, had his mind in the clouds. As Tom Luganville said, stop focusing on Lamborghinis and girlfriends and play football.
Girlfriend was hot. She was hot.
Oh, I'm not saying she's not good looking.
She was hot.
Hold on. This is two separate
She was the moneymaker.
debates, discussions. All right, go ahead. All right. So that Bama at Georgia line at 4 and a hook,
Ugh.
I'm taking the points.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
All right. Texas and Georgia. Georgia, 2.5.
Texas at Georgia. I'll take. I'll actually give the points. Texas
Yeah.
at Georgia. You said, hold on. You're saying Georgia's 2.5.
Correct.
Laying 2.5.
Correct.
I'll lay the 2.5.
Yeah, I think I'm with that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna lay the 2.5. Kirby's better than Sark. I think Sark's Ross. I don't know how much. It may be a smidge better than Georgia's, but I don't know. I'd probably Jackson. If I'm thinking about Texas and Georgia's rosters,
They're so neck and neck.
I'm thinking that's a push.
Yeah, a solid push. I mean, there's not a hair's worth of difference in
Now,
those.
Kirby as a head coach is better than Sark, but Sark's
Wow.
staff is better than overall. With Muschamp stepping down, I believe that Kirby needs to take over the defense a little bit more. I thought Muschamp and Kirby did a good job together. I think it's a push, but I'll lay the points at 2.5. At home in Athens is the only reason.
Yeah. Gotta be.
Georgia has 3 absolutely monster marquee games at home. It's ridiculous.
They are.
I mean, they host Bama, they host Ole Miss, they host Texas.
Oh, you got multiple. Okay, so other books have Georgia as a dog. The only time they have them as a dog.
Okay.
No,
I want that book.
Yeah, it's got to be.
Okay, give me a half point.
I mean,
Give me a point. I'll take that.
Man, that's a dumb book.
No, I didn't know that. You just changed the game for me. I'll take that.
Yeah, no doubt.
That's basically a push, but I'll take a point
All day.
in that game, and I'm going Georgia at home. Yeah.
Man. So Georgia will be favored in every game this year, right? Yeah.
Will they?
Surely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ole Miss is favored in every game but one at Georgia.
Right.
Now, again, we talked about some of those lines, LSU at home, I think will be pretty tight. Florida at home could be pretty tight. At Oklahoma could be pretty tight. To me, those are the three big challenges for Ole Miss.
Who in the world scheduled Georgia to go away that many times last year?
I don't know. Do you remember the shot that Kirby took
Oh, yeah.
at Sankey
Forgot about that.
on the stage
Yes,
after they beat
yes.
Texas in the SEC championship game?
Yes. Man, I forgot about that.
And the look on Sankey's face,
I love that.
it was great.
It was.
Because Kirby Smart doesn't give a damn.
Shouldn't. Man,
He
that rings, baby.
he does not care whatsoever.
No, look at him. Look at the haircut.
Oh, wow.
Man, doesn't care about anything.
This year is going to be delicious. It's going to be delicious because of parity. We didn't have, again, Nick Saban talked about parity. It was nonsense. Yeah. It was, hey, I like to stack my roster 3 deep, and I don't blame him. And then, parity. And then the portal happened. We're never going to see it again. Now, I've said this, the Blue Bloods will adjust. As this thing starts to land, they're already starting to do more work in the portal, doing what they want, and still knock down top 5 and top 10 high school classes, which you still have to be driven by high school talent. But, I wanted to talk about this, and this is incredible. So I watched this. I don't even know the name of this podcast. I don't even know where the name is. But these guys had Pete Golding on.
Ah, yeah. What you sent me.
Yeah, what's the name of it? Okay. 2 guys I'd never seen.
Yeah.
I'm jealous.
Yeah.
They went to the Delta State, Alumni Invitational, I guess, in Cleveland, and Pete Golding got to go in the last week or two before they all went into shutdown mode and working 18 hours a day. And I cannot believe Pete Golding laid out the Ole Miss blueprint in this interview. Because Pete Golding played and coached at Delta State, but I know he coached there. And he lays out the blueprint and the model of Kiffin's program and why they work together so well. No wonder Ole Miss has been winning. I mean, they're playing chess, not against everybody. Other people are playing chess, some. But like Mississippi State, playing checkers. You watch this, Pete Golding lays out their approach and their model. What's the name of the podcast? It doesn't even say it on the damn thing. I just clicked it. All right, we'll see you tomorrow.